S Word, featuring Will Gavin and Master Tess Fassian. And a squad of big-name contributors. The S Word from talkSPORT.
Well, a very good morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, and welcome to the S Word. I am Will Gavin, and yet again, the chair next to me remains empty, just like the space in my heart for not getting to see Master Tess Fassian on the morning my time. But I get to see him right now, joining me live from Los Angeles. Master, welcome in. How are you doing, sir?
Come on, baby, it's time. The U.S. men's national team, we're finally here. Come on.
Listen, Will Gavin, Master Tess Fassian, he's in LA loving life. We've got a humongous show for you today, looking back at a thrilling opening to this World Cup. 2 down, 102 to go, and the action in Guadalajara and Mexico City last night, Master. Mwah.
It was fantastic. Atmosphere was amazing, and in LA, it kind of felt like I was in Mexico City. There were so many Mexicans out in the streets. What a great way to start this World Cup. Absolutely love it.
We're also going to discuss if Blue Collar USA are finally going to get behind this World Cup or are behind this World Cup, because a lot of people pontificating that they're not. Master's going to tell us why we're all wrong. We'll have former referee and rules analyst Christina Unkel joining us about those 3 reds in Mexico City last night. We're going to discuss hydration breaks because they're all the rage right now. We're going to preview Canada and USA's opening games with Ian Paul Joy. All that and much more to come on the S Word, sponsored by Calci. Trade. What's next? My glasses are steaming up. I don't know what's going on here, Master. I got so excited about being on the show. I'm on fire about doing the show today that somehow I managed to get myself all worked up into a sweat already. Master, it's finally here. The opening day of the 2026 World Cup last night, and it delivered some real joy in that opening game in Mexico City.
Once the football starts, other issues often faded into the background.
We're playing World Cup, we play against a good team.
And it's fired in by Canonez! And Mexico have the first goal of the 2026 World Cup.
What a start for Mexico, but what a mistake from South Africa.
Quickest goal in an opening game since Philipp Lahm for Germany against Costa Rica 20 years ago. Now a high ball forward, picking out Gutierrez, who could be in behind. He goes down. The referee has given a free kick, and what does he do here for the challenge? It's a red card.
But it's a definite red card.
Jimenez makes the run into the area, and the glancing header is in. That's the moment many in the Azteca Stadium were craving.
And that's it now.
And there's a challenge right on the edge of the penalty area. Cesar Montes, the captain, and a red card's been shown, a 3rd red card of the opening game. And that's it. It's a win for Mexico. A match of 2 goals and 3 red cards. Mexico 2, South Africa 0.
That's how the opening game went down live on talkSPORT last night. Mexico beating South Africa 2-0. Julio Quinones and Raul Jimenez with his first ever World Cup goal at 35, having been in 4 squads after the fractured skull and everything else that happened. What a wonderful human story that was yesterday. The 3 red cards, obviously a huge story as well. Then also in Group A, South Korea coming from behind in the second half to beat the Czech Republic 2-1 to get their World Cup underway today. Canada and then the USMNT getting underway. Master, you're there, you're in your shirt, you're ready to go. What's the vibe been like in LA as the USMNT are coming to town?
It's been great. I was at the U.S. Soccer House opening yesterday morning right after the show. Went out to Venice Beach, where our friend of the show, Stu Holden, was there, along with Clint Dempsey, the whole crew from Fox Sports. They were out there for the ribbon cutting for that, and then from there went straight to BMO Stadium for the Mexico watch party that was going on in South Central LA. And it was about, I think, 50,000, maybe 60,000 Mexican fans that were pulling up. I saw them coming in motorcycles and Mexico jerseys, Mexico flags. It was unbelievable. Then the nightcap was, of course, Korea, Chechnya, and there's a huge Korean population, obviously, in Southern California. No better place to be, I feel like, to truly capture the authenticity of this World Cup than LA yesterday. It was a sight to behold, along with the usual rush hour traffic that you find. On top of that, you had to deal with all the World Cup traffic. So it was a hectic day, a busy day. and I'm running on a couple hours of sleep. But baby, it's all good. We didn't ask for sleep. These next 6 weeks, we know what we signed up for. We're not sleeping. We're watching every game.
Trust me, for you out there, I mean, you were having a wild time, a great time. I saw the scenes from Koreatown yesterday. They were absolutely sensational. And I'm glad that we did get that view from you. I'm glad that we did get to see what football was like in LA, because I've seen a lot of thought pieces about just how much the World Cup is impacting the US right now. And I saw, Jim White on the streets of New York asking New Yorkers about how much they care about the World Cup. And the answer was just nukes, baby. Absolutely everywhere he went. Because I'll be honest, when I was watching those opening games last night, and with all of the issues that we've seen over recent days with, days, weeks, months, whatever you want to go to, with FIFA's organisation, with the approach to immigration and everything that's happened from the US, with the border issues that are going on, there was part of me, Master, that was watching the beautiful festival of football that was going on in Mexico City and going, oh, wouldn't it be nice if this World Cup was just being held in a country where football was the number one sport?
Oh my God, give me a break with this nonsense. There are probably more people that watch this sport than most countries that are participating in this World Cup. Like, the U.S. is going to do a great job hosting this World Cup. I know all the issues that have transpired, but as you're already seeing, there's literally a German fan that is going viral for going to Buc-ee's. There's a Swedish woman who's going viral for traveling across Indiana. And the shared perspective is, hey, you know what? The U.S. ain't so bad. In fact, the Swedish woman ended up posting, she's like, I get why Americans don't leave this country. There's just so much to offer, and she hasn't even seen the majority of it yet. From what the experiences you get in LA to what the experiences you get in New York and everything in between, it is so diverse, it is so vast, it is so different that just enjoy it. Like, I'm sick and tired of like always reading about all these British tabloids and all these British papers that are just so obsessed with just like the negativity aspects of things. And again, elements of it need to be covered. The Somali referee not being able to get in, I saw the report that he's going to be part of the Super Cup. Great for him. That stuff needs to be covered. The players and the fans who can't get in with the visas absolutely needs to get covered. But when you guys are making a big deal of, like, again, the ticketing thing, the prices, yes, but there's always been empty seats at World Cup venues. You go back to 2010, 2014, 2018, it's the same publications that have been writing these same stories. And truth be told, that environment in Korea, Chechnya, and Guadalajara that was placed at an inconvenient time for everyone, as it was a 5-hour gap in between the matches, that game had a better atmosphere than what I see England gets to experience at Wembley. So enough with the nonsense. Enjoy the experiences. Enjoy the atmospheres. This is how North America interprets this beautiful game. And if you don't like it, don't watch it. I'm sick and tired of reading this.
Let's calm down on the side swipe about England. Like,
no, that absolutely is deserved. All the side swipes that I've been getting from you and all the other British folks about America, enough with that nonsense, okay? You got the dynasty team, Manchester City, that is literally, when you talk about one of the best eras of the Premier League, they can't even sell out Wembley with their FA Cup ticket situation. They can't even sell out games, the final matches with Pep Guardiola leading up to it. And no one knocks the Premier League for that. No one ever knocks the Premier League because Manchester City can't sell out the Etihad, because Manchester City has a super quiet atmosphere and environment that's compared to a freaking cathedral. No one ever knocks the Premier League because Manchester City, the most dominant club over the last decade and the most dominant league in the world, cannot sell out the stadium. So enough with the nonsense.
Like, of course they do. Everyone knocks Man City for that, in the same way that before Arsenal suddenly got
the global. No one says the Premier League has no atmosphere and England's not good at football.
In the last 2 years. Before that, more noise in the library and everything else. You heard it. You heard it so many times over the year. I'm just saying.
But the global perspective does not change in that. And no one ever says, hey, we should move the Premier League to another country that truly cares about the sport because the best team in allegedly the best league can't sell out their stadium and it's a freaking church in there and they have no atmosphere. No one ever says that. We enjoy the perspective. We enjoy the football. Do the same. Otherwise, just shut up. I'm sick of this. Shut up, English fans. No one cares. We've dictated and changed the time zones so you guys can watch some of these matches in prime time. Shut up. We're tired of this. Enjoy the matches. If you don't, shut up. Stop watching.
And that's Master Tesfazian, everyone. I enjoyed that greatly, mate. I'm just letting you know. I'm not going to clap back. I think you're absolutely right. I think the key for me, right, and this is what I was trying to get onto, I was being a bit tongue-in-cheek when I talk about the issue, the fact of in Mexico, they love soccer, they love football more than anything else. And the USA, there are certain parts of the USA that do not buy into football in the same way. We have seen those fans in New York I talked about, speaking with Jim White yesterday. My question is that when you've got this white elephant potentially of the overhanging costs of this World Cup, when you've got, I don't know if you see Adam Crafton's article in The Athletic today where he talks about the hidden costs of the World Cup that are being pushed onto taxpayers. The fact that when FIFA had a meeting with the head of Los Angeles Sports and Entertainment Commission and was telling them that FIFA are going to take the majority of the money for the World Cup ticketing, the media rights, the sponsorship, the concessions, the parking, and that the city itself will be expected to pay for the transportation, the safety, the security, not just at the stadium but at the Fan Fest as well. They were asked, what do we get out of this? And FIFA turned around and said, the World Cup will put your city on the map. The city of Los Angeles, arguably a top 5 most famous city in the world. It's literally Hollywood. Every major award ceremony's there. They've held Super Bowls and Olympics, and this isn't their first time holding a World Cup either. That was absolutely mad to me. But I do wonder, when you talk about that brilliant atmosphere yesterday in Los Angeles, you're absolutely right. It was phenomenal. But that's because of America's nature of a nation of immigrants, a place where you have a huge Mexican population, you have a huge Korean population. People will turn out in huge numbers, I'm sure, for Ghana and Senegal and all these countries that have populations dotted around the country. My question to you is, are they going to be bringing the attention of the blue collar, let's be honest, white, middle America? It's not in their city. It's not necessarily in their faces. Are their attention going to be grabbed by this World Cup over the coming weeks?
I don't know, and truth be told, it doesn't make any difference to me because there are 330 million Americans. And if a certain demographic does not feel like they are interested in this World Cup, by all means, don't be interested. In the same way, if English fans aren't interested for whatever reasons, by all means, don't be interested. Like, it's more so, I want to celebrate and highlight the ones that are interested. Again, the ones that were in line at 4:30 in the morning for the U.S. Soccer House in Venice Beach for this red cutting ribbon to being able to watch and experience these first 2 matches of the World Cup. I want to be able to highlight and celebrate the fact that this amazing Korean population that exists in Southern California was able to gather at 7 p.m. and create an incredible atmosphere to cheer on South Korea versus Chechnya. I want to be able to celebrate all the Mexicans that were there, the tens and thousands of Mexicans. I saw the Coliseum, I think, was quoted at 40,000. There's probably another 10, 15,000 at BMO Stadium. I want to celebrate and highlight those fans as we see the Brazilian fans taking over in New York and the Dutch fans going in New York as well. There's so much to celebrate so far that is going on with this World Cup that I do not care if people are not interested. The games have started. The atmospheres, the experiences are being had. If you want to enjoy them and partake in them, by all means, do so. If you don't, I do not care. Enjoy what you want to watch. If you watch the NHL playoffs where Erling Haaland was able to take in an incredible game of the Canes taking on the Golden Knights, by all means, enjoy it. The thing that people will have to understand, whether they want to enjoy the World Cup or not, it is unavoidable in this country. When Erling Haaland is showing up to a Stanley Cup playoff game, a Stanley Cup final game, mind you, in Carolina, when Lamine Yamal is popping into a random Walmart in Georgia and taking in the vast experiences that can only be provided in rural Georgia and rural Tennessee, like, you're going to come across this World Cup, and it's going to impact you in some shape or form, and that is the goal of this, is to make sure that throughout this entire country that people get to experience this sport, and people outside of this country get to experience how much this sport has grown in this country since the last time we hosted it in 1994.
Let's turn our attention to the action on the pitch, and we're going to talk about the games themselves. You know, Mexico, good performance, but maybe they will come away from this feeling like they should have put 4 or 5 on a pretty poor South African side, who also at one point were down to 9 men in this game. We'll talk about Korea and that comeback win over Czechia, playing a little bit of Arsenal ball as they were last night. Set piece goals, low blocks. They played very, very well, but it was a stylistic clash, let's call it that. But the kind of the big thing that's been grabbing headlines today has been the hydration breaks. First and foremost, adverts played during the hydration breaks for the first time. There was a bit of a rally against that. I've not got an issue with it at all. I would rather I was getting to watch what was going on, because much like the NFL, when people talk about it being stop-start, I like the stop-start of the NFL, because what I like when I'm in stadium is watching the sidelines, is watching how they're setting up, the conversations they're having, what's going on in the huddle, what's going on pre-snap. That stuff all I love. And I love the idea of watching how they utilise these hydration breaks. But what I've really noticed was I noticed this in the Costa Rica-England game the other night. In the second half, after that hydration break, England just were a shade off the pace, looked like they'd taken their foot off the gas. And Costa Rica, I don't know what the manager had said to them, what tactics they put in place, but that was easily their best spell of the game. The 5 or 10 minutes after the second half hydration break, they played really, really well and actually had their only really 1 or 2 clear chances of the game. And I wonder if we saw it a little bit last night with the hydration breaks as well in the second game. Are we fundamentally seeing a change in the way that this sport is going to be played? If this becomes a sport of 4 quarters, which I'm not rallying against necessarily in the way that a lot of other English people are, I want to be clear on that. But the fact that we've seen Mauricio Pochettino with a laptop showing them plays back and having those discussions, the fact that they can get out there and actually make big tactical changes in the middle of a half, smart teams are going to take advantage of this. Good coaches are going to take advantage of this, and I think it could change the way that an entire game of football is mapped out, where you do start to consider it as 4 quarters.
How is this any different than the kind of hydration breaks that existed, or the water breaks that have existed for, a decade now, I want to say? It's just now that it's mandatory, whether it's indoor and outdoor, but I know people are making a big deal of the commercials, but beyond Pochettino bringing out a tablet or a laptop, what is the difference between this experience and, let's say, all the playoffs that were played at Wembley when it was 90, 95 degrees and they're needing hydration breaks for that? I don't get why this is becoming a big story as well. When
I think it's because people are learning from it. I think it's because people are learning from how to, now that it is mandatory, now it's in every game, they are building that essentially into their game plan. It's so difficult to communicate tactics from the sideline unless you can literally get a player over. That's why we had the goalkeeper timeouts, where I've got cramp despite the fact that I played in goal and only run about half a kilometre in this entire game. I just think the whole approach, and I'm not necessarily, this is my point, I'm not necessarily saying this is a bad thing. There was a conversation about, should they be allowed to do this? Should they be allowed to should the hydration breaks be something that happen at the halfway line and a water boy brings the water out to them so they can't have those conversations? I think it's a way for really good, smart, tactical teams to make a difference and do something and change things up. And I think it's going to change the texture of games. But I think that's quite a cool thing. I quite like that it's going to change the texture of games.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I've been so accustomed to seeing this now for the last decade that when I saw it, I didn't think much of it. It felt a bit longer than it typically does. I guess maybe because here in America, we got stuck with commercials, and we also were able to miss a portion of the game coming out of the hydration break as a result of the commercials running too long, at least in the U.S. broadcast. Not necessarily the same case with the Spanish broadcast, but again, in terms of the experience, the good managers have always taken advantage of this. Whether you've seen it in La Liga, whether you've seen it in the Premier League, whether you've seen it in the playoffs at Wembley Stadium, this has always been a component of the game. Now it's just mandatory, where it evens out the playing field and allows every manager to experience the same situation regardless of the circumstances that they're, if the weather's adverse or if they're inside of a climate-controlled dome in Atlanta. So, I think the best managers are going to be able to take advantage of this. But as we saw in Mexico, and as we saw in both games, Mexico and Mexico, South Africa, and South Korea, Czechia. The tactics of both of those matches were very obvious. You had South Africa sitting in a low block with a back 5, and it was a bit cowardice. And it was a great explanation, a great reasoning, as you've seen, why South Africa has completely struggled since they were knocked out by Cameroon in AFCON. They haven't been able to win a friendly since then, and they had literally no teeth at any point in this match against Mexico, which was able to handle them and dominate them very convincingly. And on the flip side, with South Korea, it was interesting because Czechia, I do agree with you in the fact that they did play Arsenal ball. The interesting part of that was that you were seeing a lot of long balls at the start, especially that first half. And in the second half, when South Korea was able to make those changes to making some of those short, quick passes, Czechia's back line is clearly not even comparable to Arsenal's back line. They're just not built to be able to withstand 30 minutes of an attack like South Korea's with some of the defenders that they have. So I thought that strategy backfired on Czechia massively, and South Korea took advantage of it and got the 3 points they deserved.
Yeah, I have to say, Mexico, I truly think, and we'll get into these games more, we are going to break the games down as well with Ian Paul Joy and through the show as it goes on, but I think Mexico may rue a missed opportunity yesterday. They had plenty of chances, and yes, by the time, it felt like it was getting edgy, even with the first sending off. Before Raul Jimenez gets that second goal, you just started to feel it getting just a little bit on edge, a little bit like, why haven't we taken advantage of the fact this South Africa team do look so poor? And I really think in a group where I was so impressed with South Korea last night. They played such wonderful football. Finishing was a problem for them as well. Son Heung-min could have scored 4 or 5 last night. He had real opportunities too. It shouldn't have been a game that was as close as it was. Certainly when Czechia took the lead on the hour mark, it was against the run of play to say the least. But I think there could be a situation. Mexico need to finish top of that group. You finish top of that group, your next 2 games are in Mexico. You get to the round of 16 and you're going to be playing at Estadio Azteca, the last game that's being played outside of the US, by the way, because all the quarterfinals onwards are being played in the United States. That is such a huge advantage for them. We saw it last night, how big that atmosphere was. And so actually not going and putting 4 or 5 on a poor South Africa team, who are now going to be missing key players, Korea might now be able to do just that, and you might get to a situation where the game between the two of them decides who tops the group, and suddenly Mexico, look, they're going to be playing in LA, they'll be playing in Dallas. If they're second in their group, those places, lots of Mexican fans, the atmosphere will still be raucous, but it's not the same as being at home. It's not the same as being in Estadio Azteca. Like, I think as good, as well-rounded as the performance was, as good as the result was, I think they may regret not scoring 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I think there was a rule change in terms of head-to-head being the initial tiebreaker over goal differential for this World Cup. So the biggest thing for them is being South Korea. But as you mentioned, they're going to have home field advantage regardless of where they go. But being in Stadium Azteca, when Quinones scored that goal, the roar that you heard from Stadium Azteca gave me chills. And the roar I heard at BMO Stadium as well was unbelievable and incredible. And so being in that environment, being in a stadium which has now hosted 3 different World Cups, has had so much history behind it. If they end up winning this group and that round of 16 game is played at Stadium Azteca and it happens to be England, I'd be terrified, because I truly do not think England will be prepared for the environment that they're going to walk into with the way Mexican fans are rallying around this team and this nation right now to go as far as they can. They have reached the delusional optimism aspect of things after this game, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon throughout the World Cup.
It'll almost be as good as the atmosphere for a friendly at Wembley. Master Tesfazian out in Los Angeles. He's there for the opening game for USMNT. We will get on to that, because what a huge day this is for the World Cup, for that team, for Mauricio Pochettino and everyone involved. We're going to be talking clear and obvious. We'll talk about those red card decisions last night. Maybe a little bit of hydration break as well with Christina Unkel later in the show. But up next, the great Ian Paul Joy from CBS joins the show. We've got loads to get into with him. Stick around. It's going to be banging.
Big name reaction from both sides of the pond. The S Word from talkSPORT. 2. Just 2 hours of full-on football dialogue. Every day, talkSPORT presents The S Word.
Welcome back to the S Word with me, Will Gavin. Master Tesfatian out in Los Angeles, head of the USMNT's opening game of the 2026 World Cup against Paraguay. And we'll preview that game momentarily. Plus, coming up on the show, we're going to have Christina Unkel joining us. Jim Proudfoot's going to join us from out in Dallas, where I understand they've been getting cowboy hats made and going to bars to watch the opening games and enjoying some proper Southern hospitality. So we'll get a little flavour of what they're getting down there. And plus, there's so much to get into still from the games last night and the games coming up today. You're watching the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi, the world's biggest prediction market. With the World Cup kicking off, it is time to put your football IQ to the test. Kalshi lets you trade on real-world outcomes using simple yes or no contracts. From group stage shockers to who scores next, you can trade the action live. Will the USMNT send this tournament into the stratosphere with an opening game win over Paraguay? And can Canada overcome a tough test against Bosnia and Herzegovina? Stop watching the pitch. Capitalise on it. Kalshi, trade what's next. And joining us for our Kalshi big game preview, review, everything else is the absolutely sensational. I'm so glad we're getting him on the show. Ian Paul Joy is here. How are we doing, guys?
Great to see you both. Thank you so much for having me on. Proud of the great work that you're doing. Thank you for doing God's work. And of course, let's continue to grow the game the best we possibly can.
No, we don't need that ego boost at this time on at this time in the morning, Ian. Listen, let's start off with this game tonight and let's talk some USMNT, because I know Master's itching. He's got the shirt on. The atmosphere is starting to build. People are starting to, I think, it feels like a bit of confidence is starting to finally bleed in after months and months of naysaying and not so sureism. People are starting to believe, I feel.
Yeah, people are starting to believe because it is World Cup fever. So all of a sudden the excitement, the energy, the anticipation starts to build, and you can begin to imagine like what's going on in amongst that group right there. They're sitting watching Mexico, of all nations, open up a World Cup in front of 90,000 fans. The opening ceremony was fantastic. They get the win. And of course, the US men's national team are sitting, waiting in anticipation, ready to burst out of the trap. So I'm really excited to see what this group can do. They're a talented bunch. They've got a point to prove, because a lot of people out there, especially I would say in the media, have their doubts about the quality of this group. Pochettino's class, we know that. How good is he at the international level? We don't know that. But this group needs to turn it on. There's been a lot of disappointment, I think, for US soccer fans, especially if you go back through 2018. 22 was okay, it wasn't great, but there was a lot of noise around the group. This time it's a lot more calmer, and this time it looks like the group is unbelievably focused to get the job done.
And as you mentioned, there's been a lot of ridicule, a lot of questions asked about this group that was labeled as the golden generation, and that label has quickly been snatched away from them, needing to prove that they deserve to earn that right. How big of a World Cup is this for this generation, considering where they, in 2018, where this nation was and the direction it's going in moving forward with some of the academy players that they have coming up the ranks?
Well, there's no bigger World Cup, right? You're having a World Cup in front of your own supporters. You're having a World Cup in Los Angeles, the opening kickoff. I mean, that is spectacular in itself. To be a part of that, that's going to be a celebration. And of course, you can create history. You can inspire the next generation. Master, you obviously know this, and I think for many people out there trying to understand it, where does the love come from for US soccer fans? Well, as you can hear, I grew up in Scotland, so I have a Scottish accent. I was born in the United States of America. And my passion actually came from watching that US 94 team. And albeit, yes, I have this accent, I did go on to captain the youth national teams, which was a special moment for me. That whole generation went on to have success 2002, 2006, all the way through. This group has got to have to live and deal with the fact that 94 came before them, 2002 got so far and deep in the competition. What now? What's next? Well, for Christian Pulisic, probably the most talented footballer that we've ever created in the US, this is a big moment for him. At home, in front of your own supporters. He's been terrific since he's been at AC Milan. I don't care about the numbers in 26. A lot of these players have been preparing for this moment, Master. And I think it's their time to shine. But who's going to shine, right? Weston McKennie, is he going to start? I'd love to see him start. To me, he's a big game player. He's a difference maker. Christian Pulisic, superstar. We know that. He's going to start. Is it going to be Tyler Adams who's winning those tackles and inspiring the group? Will we see him be healthy throughout this whole competition? Is Flo Balogun, has he brought the shooting boots with him? Because if he has, maybe you do see the US go deep in this competition. I think this competition is set up perfectly. It's extended now, so it gives more opportunity, I think, for nations like the US to have more success. But when that whistle blows, Master, well, you both know this, you best be ready to perform. If you're not ready to go, this team could potentially fail, and there would be no bigger disaster than failing in front of your own supporters in your own nation. I don't see it happening, but obviously anything can.
Ian, I do want to ask one more on Christian Pulisic, just because he's been the poster boy, it feels like, since he was a teenager. Like, this has been 8 years, 9 years, 10 years kind of in the making to get to this point. Is there a certain level of pressure on him? Is there a certain level of, you have to be the one to lead us and bring us forward? Because it doesn't feel like, Pochettino necessarily has the warmth of the fans in the same way. How much is on Pulisic's shoulders?
He's always had that pressure, right? Immediately from the get-go, he decided to move over to the Bundesliga and Borussia Dortmund very early on. Immediately, that puts the eyeballs on you. You step away from Major League Soccer. You decide to go into the Bundesliga, where you think you're good enough to get into the first team. Oh, by the way, he gets in as a teenager. And doesn't he only just get in, he takes the world by storm. Borussia Dortmund are raving about his ability. He's scoring goals. He's creating chances. He's learning to speak German. He blew us all away. And his immense talent, I thought, was actually raised in the Bundesliga, where the league does create superstars. But then you get that big money move to Chelsea Football Club. And, of course, there's pressure there as well, Will, right? You go to Chelsea, you've got to perform. He wasn't always healthy, but when he was healthy, think about what he helped manage to achieve at Chelsea Football Club. Winning a Champions League, by the way, not too bad for an American player. But now at AC Milan, under American ownership, there's an element of comfort, I believe. He's back healthy again. Maybe not 100% in 2026, which is why statistically it's not been great for him. But since he's been at AC Milan, he's been the best player. All this talk and noise about Rafa Leao, blah, blah, blah. Give me a break. Christian Pulisic is the main man at AC Milan. When he plays well, they win. They qualify for Europe. They can potentially challenge for a championship. When he doesn't play well, Milan not as good. Same with the US national team. So pressure, you say, it's all on his shoulders.
And we're going to find out a lot about this team immediately today, facing a Paraguayan side that is going to be feisty, is going to be hungry, is going to try and punch this U.S. team in the mouth, whether Enciso plays or not in this match. I mean, you saw the emotion of Diego Gomez, the Brighton midfielder, at the pre-match press conference, and just seeing how emotional he was of being able to play for Paraguay and being part of this moment. What can we expect from this Paraguayan side that can cause some trouble for the U.S.?
It's pretty dangerous, though, right? When you underestimate a team like Paraguay, obviously qualifying for a World Cup, it's a special moment for a lot of these players. Emotions will flood through. And Ciso, as you mentioned, we're not quite sure how bad is that injury. We don't really know. But he's a talented player. He's probably the best player they've got. They've got experience with Sanabria, Almiron. We know they're dangerous up front. They can take an opportunity in front of goal. Are they as good as the US? I would say no. But I would still say that you don't underestimate this Paraguay side, because no one's talking about them, Master. Everyone's talking about the US national team, host nation, Pochettino. They've got the money, the facilities. They've got probably bigger names now in their group that play in the best leagues in the world, where Paraguay have some good players, but they're not the best. So the US should win this game. But do you think Paraguay going to care much about that? No. Paraguay are going to take their time, enjoy this moment, soak it all in, understand that the US is in a lot more pressure situation than they are, and try to play their football. You've got to be very careful how you underestimate these nations, especially Paraguay. They have weapons. A little bit of youth sprinkled in there. If Enciso does play, it would be brilliant, because I want to see the best players play against the US, and I want to see them really be competitive. But this Paraguay side, even without Enciso, will still be very dangerous. And I would say right in front of goal, they only need one chance to get a goal, and that's where the problem is, because the US at the defensive positions are not the strongest right now.
Ian, let me ask you about the action last night. Mexico, 2-0 winners over South Africa. 3 red cards in the game, literally 1 red card less than the last 2 tournaments had in their entirety. What did you make of their performance? And we haven't asked Master about this yet. What do you make of the 3rd red card? Because there's a lot of debate going on in the team, the other side of the glass, about whether or not that one should be given.
Yeah, listen, red cards, FIFA World Cups. Do we want to see them? Probably not. Is it too over-refereed? I would say yes. I mean, the referee rolled up like he was about to take off for NASA with all the uniform stuff that he had on and around him. It was ridiculous, man. I mean, it was unbelievable. Of course, it's great to see the cool image from the camera, from the referee's perspective and all that. But I just want the right decision to take place. And I also want to make sure that the game doesn't get stop-started. And, of course, we've got these hydration breaks, which are becoming ridiculous as well. Already, it's a bit of a farce from an officiating point of view. So first of all, you just stirred me up there, Will, because I'm not a big fan of referees, first and foremost, and I'm not a big fan of Mexico either. However, they were pretty impressive. I think the red card situation will be comical. I agree with the final decision, albeit going away from goal. I'm okay with the Mexican defender's decision to go in there. I think the moment got the best of him, and I think, unfortunately, when you're not hearing your teammates, you don't think straight when you're out there in front of 90,000. You just make decisions, and immediately you regret them, and that's what can happen when you're playing in a Coliseum like that. So I understand. I think he got every single decision probably spot on. But Mexico were okay. There's more to come from them, though. This is not a generational, talented group of players, but actually collectively as a team, they can be pretty dangerous. And English fans best be worried about Mexico, because in my bracket, I have England going to Mexico City to take them on in that next round. And I do think that that's a difficult place to play at altitude, with the weather, with the temperature. Mexican players are angry, ferocious, passionate people who need to win for their supporters. They got booed in that game last night. That they won, they got booed. That's the expectation. So Mexico were okay, and that's about as much of a compliment that I'm prepared to give them.
To add on to that, Ian, I was interviewing Mexican fans here in LA afterwards, and I kept asking them, how you feel about the performance? They're all like, it should have been 3 or 4-0. Like they're sky high expectations for this. They're not satisfied with a 2-0 victory, despite that game being in complete control and South Africa barely even serving any level of threat. They wanted more from that game. But it's going to be interesting to see how far this Mexican side goes, alongside with the other host nations as well. But I do want to ask about Scotland. And I was tuned in last night. Tremendous coverage that you guys did with Adam, yourself, Michael Lahoud, leading up to South Korea, Czechia. I know you got a producer there too that is Haitian, and Brees Vincent, and that's CBS Sports. I'm curious what the banter's been between Scotland and Haiti leading up to this, and curious in terms of how you think that match will play out.
Yeah, the banter's been electrifying. It's been absolutely brilliant. Obviously, grew up in Scotland. My mother is Scottish. And, I've got my daughter flying over from Scotland just for this game. I'm taking my wife and 3 children, all of us together. My nephew's in town with his best mate for the game as well. I mean, there's 8 of us going in, pretty much everyone wearing a kilt, looking forward to seeing what Boston has to offer. Or should I say, Foxborough. I don't think many people out there have a clue what's coming their way with the Scottish Tartan Army, and I think you guys all know about it. Passion, and of course after 28 years of missing out of World Cup, this is their moment to shine. That first game being against Haiti, I think, is going to be huge, right? You need to score goals, you need to win the game. A draw does no one any good. Haiti don't want to draw that game, Scotland don't want to draw that game, because it essentially means that you've got to get lucky and win one of the other games against Morocco or Brazil to even have a chance of qualifying. But I just don't see it happening. I think we're going to get a winner. I do believe we'll get goals. I don't think Scotland's underestimating how good Haiti are. They're a very dangerous team. And I think the footballing world are potentially underestimating how good Haiti are. But this is Scotland, master. This is the Tartan Army when they roll up without a ticket into Foxborough, Massachusetts, hunting people down for beer. You know what's coming your way. It's going to be a passionate performance, and I do believe Scotland, with the quality that they have, obviously no Billy Gilmore, which is a big disappointment, but I do expect McTominay, I expect Shankland, I expect Robertson, I expect them to really turn up on the occasion. This group, this generation, haven't had the opportunity to watch a Scottish national team at a World Cup. They've basically been watching every other nation compete at a World Cup now. This is their moment to shine. So Scotland is behind this group, and I think Stevie Clarke's onto something special. He's created a team spirit like no other that we have seen in recent generations of Scottish teams going there. And I do think the moment they will live up to And I do think we see them spring a surprise on the other two in this group. But first, you got to get past Haiti. That first game, that first kickoff, it's huge. It's massive. I just want to see them score a goal in a World Cup. And just to share a personal story, in 1998, I was there when Craig Burley scored against Norway in France. And to me, that was a special moment, the last time Scotland competed at a World Cup. To take my family to this one is an emotional one.
Absolutely love that. It's been wonderful seeing the Scottish fans already on the streets of Boston having a whale of a time. No Scotland, no party, as we know very, very well. We had JJ Paul in the office yesterday performing his alternative World Cup song, our talkSPORT launch party. There may or may not be a video of me dancing in full Mexican garb throughout that time. We'd only been off air for about an hour and a half at that point. Lord knows how I got into that state so quickly. But yeah, I'm, you may notice there's some Celtic blood in me. I want to see the Scots do well. I know they don't feel the same about the English, but it'd be wonderful if they can get to the knockout stages and bring the party at least into hopefully maybe even July. Ian, brilliant stuff from you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it.
Have fun.
Brilliant. Ian Paul Joy joining us.
Ian, thank you so much, man. And I want to say one quick thing about Ian. In terms of the growth of the sport here in America, Ian, you have been tremendous advocate for that, man, and for people like myself and all the other American viewers as well. We appreciate all the incredible coverage that you've done throughout your career here and helping grow the game. So thank you, man, and I hope you enjoy this summer.
And to you too. Thank you so much, boys, for having me on.
Oh, feeling the love. That was lovely. Master Tess Fatsian alongside myself, Will Gavin. You're watching the S Word, sponsored by Calci Trade. What's next? And up next, I'll tell you, it's Christina Unkel for some clear and obvious.
From the touchline to the terraces, talkSPORT presents the S Word. for people who love football in North America. And I mean the proper kind, where you only use your feet. The S Word from talkSPORT.
You're back with the S Word from talkSPORT. Will Gavin here in London, the great master Tez Fathian alongside me out in Los Angeles ahead of the USMNT getting their show on the road, getting their tournament. How are you feeling? The MLS Cup in hand, not the actual MLS Cup. That would be really impressive if you suddenly turned up with that. Listen, Master.
Full Americana right now.
I cannot wait. But first and foremost, we need to get some clear and obvious answers on some of these situations.
Yes, we do.
Particularly the fact we had the dirtiest opening game in World Cup history last night. 3 red cards, only one fewer than the last 2 tournaments had in their entirety, each of them. And so we welcome... Do we have the music? Excellent. Christina Unkel to the show. There we go.
Clear and obvious with Christina Unkel on the S Word.
It's so bad.
It's so dramatic. I love it.
Sam, what are you doing?
Sam, the second half is great, though. I feel like I should be the Undertaker coming in, right, for a WWE fight.
That's how we see you. That's to us. You're that level of top tier talent. When the dong goes, when the bell goes, Christina's coming on. You know everyone's out of their seat. Christina, the World Cup's here. It's finally underway, and what a dramatic way for us to start this action. A lot of debate in the team today, particularly about the 3rd red card yesterday. Was it stopping a true, clear goal-scoring opportunity? Just break us down what you saw from the incident. Did the referee get it right? Should VAR have intervened, etc.?
Yeah, so it's funny because it is, quote-unquote, the dirtiest opening game we've had. But if you talk about it, and I was working with Gary Neville yesterday, he hit it on the head. It didn't feel like a 3 red card game, where we really look at it. Even, I know I was looking at actually the 2nd red card when the 3rd red cards happened, and I'm like, wait, there's another red card already? And what I was looking at the 2nd red card, where it was the hand to the face by South Africa to the Mexican player that VAR recommended. So the 3rd red card surprised me just briefly because you see the player a little bit further to this touch line kind of moving up. Now, when you take the snapshot, and this is the most important part, and I could see why people were confused, expecting a yellow card immediately, was at the time that the foul occurred, he's still within the penalty area, right? So use the penalty area as to talk about direction to the goal. So let me backtrack real quick. There are 4 different considerations as to DOGSO, and that's what he was given a red card for, denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. One is the distance of the goal. He's close. That qualifies. Now, when you take a snapshot at the time the foul happens, the number of defenders who can actually defend the play if he didn't get fouled, there was nobody there. Now you talk about, does he have control and possession? The answer is yes. If he didn't get fouled, he'd still be on the ball. So the 4th consideration, it's the only one the referee, you could see him clearly talking to the assistant referee, was, did he have direction to the goal? Meaning, was it a heavy touch going to the outside, or was it a touch that he could do one more touch and he has a shot on goal? Keyword, obvious goal scoring opportunity. Bigger word, goal scoring opportunity. Not that he's going to guarantee it. And that's why it did fit all 4 criteria to fit in. It's not a very, very easy one. It's gray. If he was 2 feet to the right, one would argue it's not an obvious goal scoring opportunity. So it was just on that borderline. But at the end of the day, it is the correct decision. And that's why you see VAR not recommending to overturn it, because it does fit in the category. That was a lot.
No. And also, Americans love an acronym, but the way you slipped DOGSO in there was sensational, Christina, I have to say. Sorry, Master, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Christina, it was a lot. And I'm not going to lie with you. It felt like some of these things could have just been yellow cards, truth be told, in terms of these 3 red cards. I get the red card with the slap in the face. That obviously gets reviewed now. We see that. The first one, when I first saw it in real time, I thought it was like shoulder to shoulder. And then the third red card, to say that was a clear and obvious goal scoring chance, I don't know. I've seen that as a yellow card many times. Is this what we're going to expect from this World Cup? That a lot of these bang bang close type of situations, is this the precedent that's being set now that we're going to expect, at least for the first match day, that a lot of these games are going to be tightly contested and officiating may lean towards a red card more often than not?
Yeah, so, you hit it on the head. The first game out of any FIFA tournament is probably one of the biggest honors you can get assigned as a referee, because you are setting the tone for the rest of the tournament, and FIFA knows that. The referee on it, Brazilian referee, very experienced. His strength is game management and player management. That's a game that you can already look on paper and say, Mexico, South Africa, you want someone who can manage personalities and, find ways to not give cards easily out of the gate. So I know there was a yellow card that that could have been given. I believe it was really quickly on. It was like in the 17th minute to the South African player, and he did it. He managed that. I'm like, great, keep your cards in your pocket. Go figure, it forecasted in the future. But what you're going to see is anything that's technical, because we're in the FIFA world and we have the scrutiny of Colina and Massimo, you're going to see more of these technical textbook. They're not going to be able to negotiate their way out of this. Like I said, this one was it was close to becoming almost a gray one, where even when I looked at it, I was like, but then I took the snapshot. I'm like, yeah, they're going to want this one as a red card because it fits all four considerations very, very cleanly, or the factors for the DOGSO analysis. But yeah, you're going to see a bit more of, black and white refereeing when it comes to these kind of technical fouls. But you are going to see more management when it comes to a bit more subjective fouls, such as, like what I said again, the 17th minute, it was a little bit of a kick on the boot. It was in the touch. It was one of the first hard plays of the entire game, and how he managed his way out of it, which technically speaking, he could have gave a yellow card, but he chose not to.
For me, it is, with those subjective decisions, staying with the decision on the field feels like the smart thing to do in a lot of those situations, right? Like, unless it is clear and obvious, to use the headline name. Oh, he said the name of the thing in the show. Like that to me makes sense. One of the rules we talked about before the World Cup was about the corner reversal, the goal kick reversal, and everything else. And we saw that come into play in the first half, where there was no reversal on a non-corner for South Africa. And I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Why on earth you can reverse it when it's a corner, but not reverse it when it's a goal kick, or the other way round? This is my point. It seems it's arbitrary. Either we'll do both or do neither.
Yeah, this is where I've kind of summed this one up to, because I believe overturning corner kicks now gets to the point of where VAR was not supposed to do is re-refereeing the game. We're now entering into a very gray, slippery slope of re-refereeing the game for the officials. Some people are like, what are you talking about? It's simple. Just pop into their ear and say it's a corner kick, it's a goal kick, etc. But now you're refereeing from somebody up in the stands. So this is one of the first, I would think, VAR protocols where we're now really getting into where I think it's a land that we shouldn't have gotten into, because now we're saying if incorrect corner kicks and only incorrect corner kicks given are overturned, what about incorrect goal kicks, which is what we saw at the end of the first half, right? And it was and I had spoken to a couple of pundits and commentators, and I said, remember, it's just incorrect corner kicks. And the rationale and the reason that I've pulled behind this is they want to, if they're going to quote unquote, they're going to hate it when I say this, but if they're going to be quote unquote re-refereeing the game, they're only going to want to re-referee the games on situations that could lead to a goal scoring opportunity, right? So goal kicks, if you give an incorrect goal kick, it's coming out. It's not a benefit for someone taking a goal. And at the end of the day, the number one thing, with all due respect, not that player safety doesn't matter, but is goals. That's what everyone cares about, right? That's how you win the game. So if they're going to say, if there's an incorrect goal scoring opportunity by a corner kick given, we're going to take that away because it's too much. But if it's a goal kick, there's not much being taken away. I know it doesn't fully make sense, but that's the only rationale behind of them starting to re-refereeing the game. When we talk about, corner kicks or set pieces, and attackers are the only ones who can be punished instead of defenders for any kind of fouls leading it before the ball's kicked. Once again, it's around goal scoring opportunities. And that's really how they've got into these two new VAR protocols. Like I said, not comfortable with it because I do think we're now re-refereeing games.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because when we have you on, and of course, it's always a pleasure having you on the show and trying to understand these rules as hyper legalistic as they get. It takes me back to a book I read by legal scholar Philip K. Howard. It's called The Death of Common Sense, How Law is Suffocating America. In fact, this book came out in 1994 and was the cornerstone of the philosophy for the creators of King of the Hill in 1997. And basically focused on the concept of how modern society has become so dependent on hyper-legalization and bureaucratic laws that it's erasing the idea of common sense, because we need to be so specific within the legality of things that it tends to erase the efficiencies of the people in charge in places that are trying to adhere to these rules. And I keep thinking back at that book because I'm thinking about these officials. As all of these laws continue to get more specific, we're adding on more laws, the re-refereeing aspect of things. How does this impact the official on the field when there's 100 new laws that they have to try and make sure they keep in mind going into this World Cup, on top of the additional 1,000 laws that they've had to add on over the last couple of years because of VAR?
Yeah, when I started officiating, the law book was like this small, and that was like back in '99. It was like barely anything. And you would say, "What do I do in this situation?" And it would say, "What is the spirit of the law?" Right? What is the spirit of the game? Right? We use that all the time, and so I love that because it allowed us to be able to officiate what the game. And we used to say this in the past: what does the game need? What does the player need? That has been scrapped in the past 15 years, and now the law book is this thick, and the VAR protocol is this thick right underneath it. And to your point, we are now getting into technical refereeing versus practical refereeing. And all of that, I think, just comes back down to, it sounds horrible, but it comes back down to people not wanting a mistake by a referee. And some of those, which is just common mistakes by humans, right? Players make mistakes. So, the first goal for Mexico was a mistake by the South African player. We tell our U10 kids not to play the ball down the center. We're not going to tell that to pro and national team players, but it felt like yesterday we needed to tell that, like, don't play the ball down the center from the goalkeeper distribution. But we are really getting into the space and the place where you're no longer being able to referee from the law of the game, the spirit of the game, the essence of the game. We used to call football understanding. You know it when you saw it. It was in the gut of your instinct. It was the fun stuff you used to referee in the heart of Miami when it was just you and two other teams and there was no one to protect you as a referee. You just refereed based on survival. That's what I joke common ball is. That's gone. It's gone, and I don't think we're going to get it back, to be quite honest. There's too much money at stake.
It's a real shame. It's a real shame. Listen, she's on with Gary Neville last night. She's going on White and Jordan with those guys later. And yet we all know where her favourite place to be. Christina Unkel joining us here on the
Who's going to ask you these kind of questions?
No one else.
Who's going to ask
no
these
one
kind
else
of
has
questions?
a jingle. No one else has a jingle.
And the jingles. The jingles.
Let's go, Sam.
The brilliant Christina
Thank you,
Unkel,
Christina.
broadcaster, former referee, joining us on the S Word. In the second hour, Jim Proudfoot's going to join us from Dallas to give us a little bit of a flavour of the action on the ground last night. I need to know as well, how hard did they rib Stuart Pearce in the bar last night while they're watching Mexico-South Africa after Stuart Pearce on World Cup Daily, as a bold prediction for this tournament, said there would only be one red card for the entire tournament. That number got trebled in a game. Yeah, hit the over. We all took the over on that one, baby. So we're going to look back on last night's career game. We still haven't done that. Career against Czechia, and we've got to look forward to today's games. Plus, Felipe Cardenas joins us to talk about the atmosphere, the spirit, everything that happened in Mexico last night, both in and around the stadium. All still to come. Here on the S Word, sponsored by Kalshi. Trade What's Next.
Clear and obvious with Christina Unkel on the S Word.
The S Word with Will Gavin and Master Tesfacion from talkSPORT. S-Word, featuring Bill Gavin and Master Tess Fassian. And a squad of big-name contributors. The S-Word from talkSPORT.
Welcome back to the S-Word. Will Gavin, Master Tess Fassian, joining me from out in Los Angeles, second hour of the show. Don't forget you can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. The video podcast is finally coming, I'm told, on Monday, but you can watch the full videos on Tubi, on YouTube, and in many other places as well. We are truly global. Master, we shouldn't talk about numbers on the show. It makes us look a little bit silly or self-aggrandizing, but I did get a headline number today. In the first 5 weeks of the show, do you want to know how many views we've done across social media?
Please, tell me.
7.1 million. That's
Come on, baby.
About. That's
Come
what we're
on,
talking
baby.
about. And that's US soccer fans, that is US football fans getting involved and loving seeing that a show is here to represent them. So we thank you all for getting involved. We ask you to keep doing so, to keep sharing it, to keep rating, reviewing, liking everything, because it really does help more people find it. This is the S-Word, sponsored by Kalshi Trade. What's next? Coming up in this hour, Felipe Cardenas joins us to talk about the action in Mexico last night. And Jim Proudfoot, live from Dallas. Will he be wearing a cowboy hat? I desperately hope so. I hope so. Have you seen Alex Crook getting his cowboy hat made?
No, I haven't, but I love that the network is embracing my hometown. It brings joy to my heart.
It is a look. It is a look. He's done his whole transfer. He's done his whole transfer roundup from inside a cowboy hat shop. What's it called? They've got a special name that people who make their fancy hats. I can't remember what they are, but yeah, he has the whole thing done from in there, and it's really great. So go and check out.
Did he go full bolo tie, everything? We going full Phillip Rivers?
I wish he did. I really wish he did. Maybe that's going to be the gradual progression over the coming days. It's just the boots are tomorrow, the bolo tie the day after. He's going to be chewing on a bit of straw and yee-hawing before the end of the week. We're going to talk about last night's game, other game, because we've not really got into the career game yet, and then we're going to preview the games on the coming days. We've got a Master Damas, because last night, Master, you were feeling yourself. You got the correct scoreline in that opening game with Mexico City, the full 3 points for your 2-0.
Yes.
Only for me to get completely bailed out in the late game.
Yes, you did.
When Czechia went 1-0 up, I was like, oh my God, this is a horrible start to the tournament for me. And I end up getting a correct score, and I top the table on 4 points, baby. Come on.
Hey, hats off to you, because I thought that 1-1 draw was coming my way.
Yeah.
After that equalizer Korea scored, but kudos to you. You called it. Korea was going to win, and I expected more from Czechia, but they were a bit cowardice after they went up 1-0. And I know the jokes are going to happen with Arsenal and stuff, but they don't have William Saliba and Gabriel back there. They don't have David Raya back there. Like, defensively, they are Swiss cheese. And for them to think that they could sub off Schick and Sulk after they scored their first goal and went up 1-0, that they could suffer for 30 minutes and hold off that Korean side that had been, had some chances in the first half that they weren't able to take advantage of, particularly with Son. Son, I felt like, had 5 shots that, he was able to find spaces, but just wasn't able to find the finishing product. I thought that was a bit ridiculous. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I completely and utterly agree on that front. And even though they get the second set piece, from the second goal from the set piece, which gets ruled out for the offside, what a moment. Actually, I meant to ask Christina about that, just remembered now. But the way he did the full helicopter celebration all the way to the sideline, and then when he got next to the assistant referee, that's when they put the flag up, and it was just a sensational moment.
Beautiful. French, that official, I hope he deserves every single bonus that FIFA has to offer just for that moment. That was sensational.
100%. I thought Hwang In-beom was sensational for Korea last night, but you mentioned it. Son Heung-min, who obviously we're very familiar with from his time at Tottenham, now playing out in MLS, in that more central role, that more kind of creative role, where, because he is now a yard off the pace of that, absolute height that he was at Tottenham in kind of the late 2010s into the early 2020s when he won the Golden Boot, and he was so sensational, and going past Kane when he'd hold the ball up, and that partnership they had there. I truly believe at that point he was a world-class player who deserved to be talked about with the best players on planet Earth, and honestly, kind of amazed he never ended up playing for another team other than Tottenham. No offence to our Spurs fans who are watching. But there was the issue last night of he played very well, he pulled the strings, he got in great positions, but that game could have been 4 or 5-0 if he just takes a few of those chances before Czechia even get a chance to go up. And He's had 13 appearances in MLS this season, yet to score a goal. For a guy who was so clinical, who was so good at it, who has Premier League seasons of over 20 goals from playing off the left wing, no less. That's just a part of his game that you just think if they're going to go far in this tournament, they need that world-class player to turn up and they need him to start banging in the goals.
Yeah, they do. I mean, that is a huge aspect of what Korea does, but kudos to them because they still were able to find ways, as you said, through the substitutions to find the back of the net and continue creating chances. The tactical changes in which they made, I think, kind of shows that maybe there are other options that Korea can depend on where they're not so dependent on Son being able to find the back of the net. I thought he was still disruptive in the chances he was able to create, the movements that he had, but his finishing product, as you mentioned, I'm not sure if that's something that Korea can depend on, which was a great understanding for Korea to find, is that if we don't get that from Son, where else can we find that from? And finding it in the final 30 minutes of that match, for me, I think I'd be a bit more optimistic as a Korea fan, because that match was pivotal. Getting 3 points there against Czechia now sets you up perfectly to finish second in that group, because we saw how poor South Africa is. They're clearly going to finish at the bottom of this group. Czechia now losing the head-to-head tiebreaker against South Korea all but assures that South Korea is going to finish top 2 and maybe threaten Mexico with a chance at topping this group in Group A. I think that Mexico South Korea game now is shaping up to be a huge one.
South Korea, all in all, impressed me more than Mexico last night because Mexico were going up against a weaker opposition, because South Korea managed to pull it out despite going a goal down. If they can get a draw, if they get a tie, for my American friends, in the game with Mexico, then you'd fancy them to go and put a bunch on South Africa, particularly with some key players missing now with the sendings off. And so, you know, they're really in line to potentially top the group. And trust me, South Korea in the round of 16 at Azteca, as good as they are, sounds a lot more appealing as an England fan, or I'm sure for any other team, than Mexico at Azteca in the round of 16. Oh, trust me, I'm mapping. This whole thing is mapped out in my mind. I am fully like, the beautiful minding. There's a blackboard in front of me. The numbers are all flashing in front of my eyes. I need to... that Mexico, the idea of playing Mexico there absolutely terrifies me, and we will talk some Mexico coming up with Felipe Cardenas.
I will say this though, the amount of videos that I saw of Koreans and Mexicans getting along last night and sharing tequila drinks and a beverage or two last night, I don't know if it ends up being Korea in that at Stadium Azteca. I think you're going to see a lot of Mexican fans pulling up and putting on some of those Korean colors during that match. That was tremendous. We found a bigger sombrero. We found a bigger sombrero in the office. What happened to the mini sombrero?
The big sombrero is out. I will be feeling it. Just listen, you just mentioned tequila, and there was some margaritas last night, and we don't need to get into it. It's fine.
Do we not? I still haven't seen the video. I'd love to see the video. God.
It's all good.
I heard they call you hombre now around the office.
Just one more on Son first, because the thing for me, if he does show that he's still got the goals, if he shows that he's still got that touch, if he rediscovers it, whether it's a confidence thing, whether it's due to the new positioning, whatever that might be, I still see such a good player there that, and I'm not denigrating MLS in any way, but you do start to think to yourself, it's exactly the thing that Spurs were missing last season. Great leadership, great locker room guy, someone who actually can bring a team together and can add goals and can add quality, and he's a bit of an Iron Man as well. Like, if I'm Tottenham, I'm like, do you know what? Would you fancy coming back from America just for a year or two, just while we try and get out of being a team that finishes 17th and is battling for relegation? He's such a club hero there. I would love to see him back in the Premier League.
You mentioned the goals aspect of it. Where are the goals coming from? Because that's not what Tottenham needs. They don't need one more person on that squad that can't score goals, and that's just the reality of Son right now. He can create chances, but the finishing product, we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it in MLS. We didn't see it in his first match, despite the great chances that he had to create. I don't think Tottenham needs another player, regardless of their status and legacy at the club. I don't think they need another player on that squad that can't score goals. They already have plenty of those on the roster as it is. And in terms of leadership, they brought in Andy Robertson. I know you were a big fan of that move and decision. There's going to be other things. It's a changing of the legacy, a changing of the guard. He ended with a European Cup that he was able to fulfill his legacy and cement his legacy at Tottenham. Why go back to this mess right now? Enjoy Southern California. He's got a new legacy now to live out, Will, and that's the Korean American population here. The Koreans that obviously have a huge, there's Koreatown here in Los Angeles. Like this is a new chapter, a new legacy in Son's career that maybe he didn't even expect, but has produced sold out stadiums all across MLS, a huge following amongst the Korean population towards LAFC that already existed to begin with. I think this one extends towards the twilight of his career and also in retirement that can supersede going back to Tottenham in the the dumpster fire that thing is. So why save that when you can help out your own people here? One of the club's great all-time players, captained them to their first trophy in 17 years, 127 goals in 333 Premier League appearances. Do you know who that means he's above in that list? Didier Drogba. Do you know who else he's above in that list? Cristiano Ronaldo across 2 stints at Manchester United. He is a club legend. I think Spurs fans watching this, get in the comments. Let us know in the chat. Let us know if we put this out as a video as well. Would you welcome Son Heung-min back with open arms? It's all in the past, bro. I'd love to see it. Sometimes you're living in the past. Let's talk about the reality, man. They say don't go back to the ex. But sometimes those warm, comforting arms you know so well, it's just so tempting. It's just... If he's able to bang these goals in the back of the net, sure. But again, we haven't seen it in MLS. We haven't seen it against Czechia, which, again, defensively was not the greatest team defensively that we'll see in this World Cup. In fact, I think it's one of the worst that we'll probably see in this World Cup. And he can score against them. So I think he should embrace the situation he's in right now. He's made the most of this. Why? There's no point that Spurs should want to go back to that, in my opinion. You're watching the S Word, sponsored by Calci. Trade what's next. And with Master taking the early lead, 3-0 after the first game. With me pulling it back 4-3 up after day one. What a day one it was for the pair of us, both getting a correct result. Let's look forward to the weekend's action and a bit of Master Damus.
Master Damus. Master Damus. Master Damus. Oi! Doesn't that really good looking host support 2 teams, bruv? Master.
Last night we were in
Is that him right there?
Yeah.
Is that him?
Last night we were in an American-themed bar watching Mexico, South Africa, and he met the only other Colts fan in all of London, but also at the same time lots of Eagles fans because it's an Eagles-themed bar. So both of his teams were represented. He's a West Ham fan. He's an Arsenal fan. It's Sam Harris in the studio. Sammy, welcome on in.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yeah, we had a really good
Sam,
night.
who are your 2 nations in the World Cup?
Oh, do you know what?
USA.
USA, yeah.
I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win.
Come on.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Will, you pulled it back last night with the correct result. I think the first since we started Master Damus, but this is now proper. We're entering the World Cup, so we're going to count yesterday's scores. We're getting rid of all the Premier League nonsense from beforehand. We're starting properly now, and you are 4-3 up. Yeah, you did win. You did win, okay. Master. You cleaned the floor with him. But we're getting into the proper stuff.
Please don't overlook that fact. Okay,
no. The people need to know. So let's kickstart today's first game: Canada versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. Will, you've taken the lead. I'll let you go first on this one. How do you see this one going?
I've been focused so much on USA Paraguay. My concern with this game, first of all, we don't know if Alphonso Davies is going to be available, which is kind of key. His fitness so important to this team, and Bosnia are going to be just the classic, tough to break down, hard as nails, punch you in the mouth. I want the host nations to all do well. I want them to all get out of the groups. I want it to inspire their nations to excitement. But Canada, of the 3, I think is the weakness. And I kind of fancy Bosnia to nick this one. I'm going to take 2-1 Bosnia.
Master, what say you?
Yeah, the Alphonso Davies, it looks like he's not going to be able to play against Bosnia. And as you mentioned, Bosnia's going to be very tough to break down in that 4-4-2. But Dzeko also has some fitness doubts as well from an injury he suffered in March. And we haven't seen him too much in these friendlies. So it's unclear if Dzeko's going to be available. It seems pretty clear that Alphonso Davies won't be available. But in 2 clashes of styles, Canada, obviously, with Jesse Marsch, is going to be on the front foot. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be attacking. Bosnia is going to be difficult to break down. I've been going back and forth on this one. I really have. I think ultimately I can see the 2 different clashes and styles evening out. Give me a 1-1 draw.
I was thinking about this last night when I was watching the first half of South Korea Czechia, and Czechia were defending so well and South Korea were missing opportunities. I'm like, is there any point in this tournament that we're going to guess a 0-0 draw? Because it's just so not the normal done thing when you do predictions.
Yeah, it's very boring.
I thought you might be leaning in that direction for a moment there. Like, Sometimes you get great 0-0s, but it's a rarity. I don't think anyone wants to put that out into the world, but maybe that's the direction I'll go in on my next one.
The other fact too for this as well, Canada has never won a World Cup match. This is their third World Cup. They didn't score a goal in their first World Cup appearance, and then obviously in Qatar they were able to finally score their first goal, but lost all 3 matches in the group stage. So in Toronto, I'm very interested to see what that atmosphere is going to be like among the Canadians trying to will their nation over to finally get their first World Cup win.
Master, we'll stick with you for this one. Group D, the big game, the one we've all been waiting for to kick off this tournament properly. USA versus Paraguay.
So harsh to the games last night. They were great.
I know, but we're all here for USA, aren't we? Come on. How you see this one going, Master?
Yeah, this one it's gonna be a tough one. Paraguay's gonna come in very physical. They're gonna punch us in the face. USA is gonna have to respond to that, especially this group and this generation that has to prove themselves in this World Cup at home. And I think they'll find a way. Enciso's injury and his doubts, it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to play in this match. I think it's a huge loss for Paraguay. As Ian mentioned, I think he's Paraguay's best player. And I think ultimately U.S. will be able to pull this one out 2-1 with the great news that Chris Richards is fit and will be available for this match. So hopefully he's able to start and shore up that back line defensively for the USA.
I had 2-1 written down. Ooh.
Oh,
can't. Yeah, but we can't do it. It's boring if we do the same score, isn't it? It's just like, I could just go, right, well, I'm 4-3 up now. I just guess the same score as Master for the rest of the tournament and basically win by 1 point. That's boring. I'm not doing it. That's why we alternate who goes first. I do think the US take this one. I think that Enciso missing is so huge. It's so huge. And thankfully, the knee injury against Nicaragua looks like it won't be serious enough to keep him out for the whole tournament. At first, it looked really nasty. It looked like he could miss some real time. So I'm glad that he's going to see the field. I'm hoping that it will be as soon as next week. But I think the USA will take this. And I'm going to say 2-0. I think that loud, raucous LA crowd believe they will win. Yeah, fight and win, baby. Fight and win, USA, 2-0.
Now, a nice late one for everyone. Midnight kickoff, Eastern time.
I was going to say.
3 p.m. over here, baby.
It's wild, isn't it?
Australia versus Turkey. Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you see this one going, Will?
I just think Turkey are going to be far too strong for Australia. The Socceroos, they'll have resilience and physical grit and all those things we like to say about underdog teams in a World Cup, and I just don't buy any of it. I think Turkey take this one, and relatively comfortably. Is it going to be the first real shellacking of the tournament? Are we going to see 3 or 4 put on somebody? Don't know if Turkey have that level of quality. I'm going to take another 2-0. I'm going to be boring and go with the same thing.
Master?
I was thinking 2-0. My only issue with Turkey defensively, I'm curious in terms of they can be susceptible and be caught off guard, and for them to keep a clean sheet can be a tough ask sometimes. So I'll go 2-1 Turkey here. I think Australia finds a way to get one in the back of the net, but Turkey dominates and controls this game with Yildiz and Arda Güler, the 2 best players by far on the pitch.
Now, my game of the weekend. This is the one I've been looking forward to the most, I think.
Haiti-Scotland.
Yeah. Haiti-Scotland. No, it is actually Brazil-Morocco. We'll get to Haiti-Scotland after. Master, how do you see this one going?
Man, at first I was ready to pick Morocco, and then the Azazuli injury, unfortunately, him missing out on the World Cup, and then a guard as well. 2 huge blows for Morocco in their starting 11. So I think this group is going to be a bit more open than I anticipated, and I think Brazil has a chance. I really do. I could see this one being a fun affair between both sides. I think both sides will concede here. Give me 2-2. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. It'll be a fun one.
Love that. Love that.
I think it'll be a fun one.
See, I'm concerned about those injuries with Morocco. Defensively, organisationally, they are so class. I am going to say this is going to be a real squeaky bum game for the Seleção, and I think they are going to win 1-0.
Well, we'll
sneak
stick with you now for your game of the weekend, Will.
Haiti-Scotland. Absolutely love it. And I think this is where we're truly going to differ. I think this is where we're going to come apart. I think that world-class Scottish midfielder, they're missing Billy Gilmour, but John McGinn, class. Scott McTominay, give him the Ballon d'Or right now. I am saying 2-0 Scotland with their massive, raucous, like that. They are going to go wild in the streets of Boston. I am here for it. I think Scotland come out with a victory.
Master?
I know you guys have enjoyed the bagpipes being played at 7 a.m. all across the Northeast. Scotland has made their presence
It's midday here. No worry for me.
However, I think people are very well underestimating the amount of Haitians that are going to come out for this match as well. I think there's going to be a fantastic Haitian showing. Their support has been already tremendous throughout the friendlies, and every single Haitian person I know is trying to find a way to get to Boston for this match. So as much as we know the Scottish fans are going to show up, I think the Haitian fans will as well. And considering for them it's kind of a home field situation as well as a CONCACAF nation, understanding the conditions, understanding the environment, I'm going Haiti 2-1. I think Haiti pulls out these 3 points here. I think the European mind is underestimating how feisty and scrappy this Haitian side is going to be this weekend in this match, and I think it's going to catch a lot of Scottish people off guard. So give me Haiti. Ça passe, baby.
Beautiful stuff. Master Tesfazian, we had Sam Harris in the studio. That was Master Damas. That was the last game, right?
Yes.
Good, because we've got to get to Felipe Cardenas and we've got to get to Jim Proudfoot. So let's crack on with the show. Those are our predictions for the weekend. Let us know your thoughts in the chat, in YouTube, down in the comments as well. But up next, we'll get a flavour of what it was like in Mexico last night with the great Felipe Cardenas.
Master Damas. Master Damas. Oi! Doesn't that really good-looking host support 2 teams, bruv? Master.
Bringing all the biggest football debates stateside. The S Word from talkSPORT. Kickoff to the full-time whistle. Don't say the S word. Say the F word. Football. The S word from talkSPORT.
You're back with the S word from talkSPORT. I am Will Gavin. We're sponsored by Kalshi Trade. What's next? Will Gavin here, the great master Tez Fatsian, alongside me live from Los Angeles. I forgot to open the streams today. I'm not going to lie. It was a big night. I stayed up and watched a game that here in London was at 3 a.m. And so, you might hear the voices starting to suffer a little bit. It's fine. There's a long way to go. It's a marathon, not a sprint. This World Cup, it's going to be sensational. But I didn't get up in the comments.
It is 104 sprints, Will.
And
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm running on like 90 minutes of sleep. This is what we signed up for the next 6 weeks, baby.
Getting up in the comments, our good friend Joe gets in touch saying, today is the day, go USA. He has concerns about Diego Gomez's ability from distance. He mentions Julian Ciso as well, but of course he'll be missing the game today. And I have to tell you, I'm disappointed I didn't check these earlier, because your earlier comments about the English atmosphere versus the USA buying into it, they are getting all up in the comments on those. It's just worth you going and having a read of them. Just saying.
It is all good, because I am speaking nothing but facts. And if you don't like it, not my problem.
Listen, we're going to talk about the action in Mexico last night, because it was absolutely sensational, the atmosphere there.
Hold on, before we talk about the atmosphere that happened at Stadium Azteca, let's go back to yesterday. Bring out the sombrero, because I want to be able to show Felipe Cardenas the atmosphere inside the talkSPORT offices, as we got to see how Will Gavin celebrated the start of the World Cup. Take it away, boys.
Please, God. There he is. Oh, can we not hear
him? Look at that.
It's absolute banger.
It's amazing. Look at that. You got the poncho on, got the sombrero on. You got a drink in your hand? Is that a towel? I can't tell what else is in your hand.
No, I am wearing, here we go, I've got the poncho. It's here with me now. I've got some absolutely ridiculous... Hey, Mas Fiesta, baby. I've got a little Fiesta. I've got a little Fiesta necklace. I've got a little taco on. I've got my sombrero. I was in full Mexican mode last night. I'm disappointed that you cannot hear the great JJ Paul, because if you don't know that absolute banger that is playing right now, the unofficial Scotland song, it is brilliant. So I'm going to wear this while we talk.
Fully appreciating Mexican soccer in your interpretation of it. I was doing the same in BMO Stadium. We're showing love to our Mexicans, because they kick this thing off right, and they know how to celebrate this beautiful game, as they've hosted this thing 3 times now, and well deserving of it, because their fans are some of the best in the world.
And you were in that incredible atmosphere in the LAFC Stadium. I was here, dressed like that, dressed like this. Drinking margaritas in the office. It was a weird time. But a man who was in the stadium,
a great time.
A man who was there, and a regular on the show, and one of our absolute favourites, is the great Felipe Cardenas, who joins the show now. Felipe, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's coming off, I promise.
I feel underdressed now. I feel really underdressed. What the heck? I love the look. Stick with it. You rock it. You look good. And my boy JJ, if you don't know that track, it is the World Cup track. Very talented guy. I think you gotta work on your dance moves, though.
Hey, whoa!
Yeah.
The thing is, I had no idea I was on camera. They were just like, yeah, do you know JJ Paul does the unofficial Scotland song? They're going to play it in the office. And I was already a couple of margaritas deep at this point. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I filmed the whole thing. You can see my phone in my other hand, and I'm just having the best time. Little did I know that was being broadcast live to hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions, across the UK on talkSPORT. So thanks, guys. Thanks.
Felipe,
you did well. You did well. I like it.
That's how he got to enjoy it.
Tell us about the Azteca, because last night looked incredible.
Well, listen, my phone and my laptop are still splattered with beer. I still smell it, because that first goal from Julian,
splashed with
cerveza. There was a lot of cerveza coming down. Remember the press area. You're in the stands essentially. You are with the people at the Azteca, the way it should be. That I think that's just, there's no press box, there's no glass. You are with the people there. And so Julian Quiñones with, a 10th minute goal. And before that, Raul Jimenez had come close. Obviously the South African goalkeeper was phenomenal in that first half. But Julian Quiñones scores that goal, and it felt like the stadium was going to collapse. I had never been in a stadium that loud, and it was loud before kickoff. And I was like, wow, this is going to be quite the show. And when he scored, it just felt like you were on another planet. And I remember yelling, like, not like goal, but I just like said goal because it's like, how do you not do that? And I couldn't hear myself. I couldn't hear my colleague Jack lying next to me. We're just yelling at each other like, this is incredible. So yeah, the Azteca, the Mexicans know how to kick off a World Cup. Certainly they do, and they brought out everything. I thought the pre-match show was very much like a Super Bowl halftime show, like likened. It wasn't the same, I think, level of production, but that was the concept. Multiple artists, really getting the crowd into it. I thought they did well. And in the end, guys, like I even liked the walkout, the new walkout with the players. Now, I liked it for this game. I felt like for this match, for an opener, it felt appropriate. I don't know how it's going to play when Austria plays Algeria. I don't know if that's going to feel the same way, but yeah, a big win for Mexico, a massive moment for Mexican football, and the Azteca lived up to its name.
It was such a tremendous moment. As you said, that roar really came through the screen as well, watching it from home and also from different watch parties all around the world. But the person that scored that goal, that created that roar, Quiñones, let's talk a little bit more about him, because obviously he's a naturalized Mexican. He is of Colombian descent. And he's someone that is the Golden Boot winner as well in Saudi Arabia at Al Qadsiya. You are Colombian, obviously. I've seen a lot of discourse happening between Colombian and Mexican fans about his origins of joining this Mexican side. Nevertheless, he was the one that created this moment of magic for Mexico. How much of a game changer is he for Mexico now that he's on the side?
Yeah, I think with him, he had underperformed and underwhelmed in 23 appearances before yesterday. He had only scored 3 goals, and they weren't important goals. And obviously, anytime a person gets naturalized, a player gets naturalized as a Mexican citizen, a dual national, it is a very contentious debate in Mexico. There's a lot of pundits and fans that don't want dual nationals on their national team. They feel they're taking a spot from a Mexican player. And Julián Quiñones, though, made his career in Liga MX. He is a bona fide star. He won multiple titles there with Tigres, Club America, Atlas. For Atlas, he was part of the team in 21 and 22 that won consecutive titles with Atlas after 70 years without a title. He was the man in Mexico. And before he went and got his citizenship, there were chatter like, can this player perhaps come and help Mexico and be a player on the wings that they don't have? And when it was announced that he was going to accept the Mexican naturalization and become a national team player, that was the expectation, what we saw yesterday. But that didn't happen until yesterday. And so I think he had the biggest moment in his career on the absolute biggest stage. And I think he proved a lot of people wrong. The trust that Javier Aguirre gave him as well. The match day -1, he had reporters asking Aguirre like very straight tactical questions about where are you going to play Julián Quiñones, who in Saudi Arabia plays a bit more centrally, and that's where he's been prolific. And he moves to the left, he moves inside, and Aguirre was just very matter of fact. He's like, I watched his game in Saudi Arabia. I spoke with his manager Michel. He's a player that can play throughout that front three, and we're going to put him on the left side. And you saw him in the game. He wasn't stuck to the touchline. He was playing centrally. He did a lot of damage on the touchline, but just a massive moment for him. I think him and Alvaro Fidalgo, the Spanish-born former Real Madrid academy player, also a dual national, just a huge moment for both of those players to feel Mexican, to feel like they made the right decision for this massive moment for both them, the players, and the nation.
And on the other side of that, Raul Jimenez with the goal in the second half, after a story that obviously fans this side of the pond will be incredibly familiar with. He's back at Wolves now as well. And what a story. 4th World Cup, finally gets to be the starter, finally gets his first goal, and the outpouring of emotion was beautiful to watch.
It was hard to see from the press area. I was getting texts and DMs saying he's crying, he's in tears, and obviously we were just living the moment. It was a great goal, a great finish, and it was coming for Raul Jimenez. We felt like that was the goal that was missing. And obviously, Mexico was up 1-0, and it was started to get a little bit nervy. They needed that second goal, and he delivered. If you go back to 2020. Mexico was flying high in 2019. Raul Jimenez was their central striker. Tata Martino loved him because he's not just a box-dwelling 9. He can play. He can play off a wing. He can play as a false 9. He can really drift in and play as a 10 too. He's that type of center forward. And in 2020 happens. He gets injured. The catastrophic head injury. the pandemic happens, and from there Mexico just never recovered. Like, his injury was part of one of the dominoes that fell and led Mexico to their darkest period, and I think in their history in 2022. And so for him to have this moment, and to be the guy and to be the leader on this team, and no one's competing for that spot, honestly. Raul Jimenez is beloved in this country, and it felt like a storybook. I don't want to call it an ending, because they've just begun, but it felt like a moment that Raul Jimenez really needed. The crowd, you could tell that the crowd obviously wasn't the same roar as the first goal, but it was like the roar felt like it was targeted towards, yes, it's Raul Jimenez. He's had his moment as well.
It felt like a finally kind of roar, because obviously I'd look around BMO Stadium where I was at, and everyone's wearing number 9 kits. So obviously the attachment that they have to Raul Jimenez is very obvious and evident. And it almost was, as you mentioned, the roar wasn't as loud. It almost felt like a more of an emotional kind of like, oh, wow, he finally did it. Thank you, And of all places to do it, Stadi Azteca. It feels like between that goal, the Quiñones goal, the fact that they just completely dominated South Africa, which we talked about plenty of times on the show, is the worst team in this group and not going to make it past into the knockout stage, unfortunately. But was this performance from Mexico, was it enough to instill the confidence that you had mentioned the Mexican fans wanted to see, so they could fully get behind this team, this nation, and try to push that hope and optimism as far as it can go?
Well, if I go off of what I saw on the streets after the win, yes, the Mexicans they are behind this team. They were partying throughout the night. People with their flags, honking horns. Streets were shut down because fans were walking through and just having a great time. Like, I didn't see anyone here, whether it's a guy that parks cars or a Starbucks employee or someone that sells tortillas and tacos on the street, not wearing a green kit. So they are fully behind this team. Now, if you ask the pundits, it's a different story. I think there were moments in that game where I think South Africa, they didn't show up to win that game at all. And there were moments where I think they lulled Mexico to sleep a little bit. They just sat back, and Mexico, like Aguirre has said, they sort of perform better in a chaotic type of match. They want to run, they want to sprint, they want the ball, they want to play quickly. So when you sit back and make them think, they ran out of ideas around the 67th, 70th minute. Mexico, they had to sort of regroup because South Africa was just sitting back. So the pundits are attacking that, saying they did not convince enough. They should have won 4-0. How do you not score on nine men? But I think the vibe on the street here is great start. This is what we wanted, in a huge game in front of the world. Mexico wins. On to the next one.
I don't know. I kind of am in a little bit of agreement on the idea of the 3 or 4-0, and not because of the performance itself. The performance was good. Not great, but good. But it felt like the opportunity to score 3, 4, 5 goals was there. If you now only draw / tie for our American brethren with Korea in the next game, suddenly that goal difference could come into it massively, and we're talking about having to go on the road in the round of 32, round of 16, instead of being back there in the cauldron, back there in Mexico, which, I know there's a lot of Mexican fans in LA, in Dallas, etc., but it's different to being there at Azteca, as you experienced yesterday. So that's the only reason I think they may come to regret not scoring more. Particularly, they basically have to beat Korea now to top the group, in my mind.
Yeah, and Korea, as you saw, Korea's always just a tough opponent. I don't think it's a great Korea side, honestly, but it's, Korea and Mexico know each other really well from past World Cups, from past friendlies in 2025. They're always really hard fought matches. They might be the type of match that Aguirre likes, though. I think it's going to be a much faster game, Korea and Mexico. But you're absolutely right. Yesterday, which one of the great moments in the post-match game was the post-match press conferences was Belgium's coach saying at one point, Mexico didn't know what to do with the ball. And then a reporter told Javier Aguirre, did you hear what the Belgian coach said, that you guys didn't know what to do with the ball? And he said, Aguirre responded smiling. He's like, well, they're not very good defenders. And the reporter said, well, how do you contrast that? How do you not get to this point where an opponent is discussing your tactics? And he's like, we should have won 4-0. And so that tells you right there, I think they are ruining those chances that they didn't convert. And I totally agree that this World Cup is going to be one where goal differential really makes a difference.
Master, any final thoughts from you?
I mean, I think you've nailed in terms of the atmosphere environment. Here, one other thing we'll talk about, because again, it's being brought up in the comments, and I'm just sick and tired of this. The Korea-Czechia game. You've seen all the comments, every single British tabloid's running away with some of the empty seats that existed, as if there hasn't been empty seats that have existed across the last, 4 or 5 World Cups. But I'm curious from your vantage point, what did you take away from that? Is it a South Korea-Czechia game in Guadalajara that, of course, is going to have some empty seats? Or is it this dynamic pricing situation hollowing out the full experience for more people to experience this World Cup?
Well, listen, quickly, on the game yesterday at the Azteca, I spoke to some fans that were walking in, and they told me they paid up to $2,500, $2,500 to go per ticket to go to that game in Mexico City. So that's the running price to get to see Mexico in Mexico City. It's clearly for a much more affluent audience, right? Now, Czech Republic, South Korea, and Guadalajara, I agree. I think that's sort of the expectation at a World Cup. You're not going to get what FIFA is trying to get people to believe, that it's 104 World Super Bowls. It just isn't. You're going to have games where it's not a sellout. But it was a great crowd. The Koreans were there, obviously, and the Mexican fans that go to these games and just sort of, they're neutrals, I think they enjoyed it as well. We're going to continue to discuss this, though, because of the high pricing and what sort of the messaging from FIFA is really coming back to bite them. Gianni Infantino had to address this on Wednesday and told the reporters to chill out and relax. I don't think he had a great press conference that day, because this is not going away. And when I talk to people walking into a stadium saying, like, yes, I paid $2,500 and it's very expensive and maybe I shouldn't have done it, but you only get one chance. You're going to see this throughout the World Cup. Austria, Algeria is not going to be a sellout where they play. Is Qatar, Switzerland, I don't think that's going to be a Super Bowl vibe either. So I think it just goes back to the messaging from FIFA from over 2 years ago. And now they have to address it and really deal with reality that not every game is going to look like the Azteca yesterday.
Felipe, as always, brilliant stuff from you. One of our very favourites. Let's just say our favourite, Master. Why not? Let's.
Please.
I have long said that. No more one. Drop the prepositional phrases. We're getting straight to the best.
Beautiful.
Hey, I have a prediction. I do have a prediction for U.S. Paraguay. You guys want it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please,
lay it on us.
Give it to us.
All right. And I'm not going to do this where I say something in print and do something else here. Like, I'm going to stick to what I said in print. I'm going with 2-2. 2-2, a draw.
Okay. You're now officially in the Master Dharma circle, so that will go on to the league table. Whatever the result tonight, you'll just sit there with a little asterisk next to your name saying only predicted one game, but you're in there. You're on the table. Beautiful stuff. Felipe Cardenas joining the show. Thank you so much, sir.
Much
really
love,
appreciate
man.
it.
Thanks
You're
so
a great man. We finish off the show with another great man as we head to Dallas, Texas. Not to see Master. He's not back in his hometown. He's over in LA living that hoity-toity Hollywood lifestyle. Instead, we're getting the wonderful...
I'm helping put LA on the
map. Jim Proudfoot joins the show. Up next, this is the S World, sponsored by Kalshi. Trade, what's next?
The daily deep dive into the world of football. The S Word from talkSPORT. talkSPORT presents the S Word. Get your full-on football fix from across the football galaxy. The S Word from talkSPORT.
You're back with the S Word on talkSPORT. Sponsored by Kalshi. Trade What's Next. Will Gavin, Master Tesfatian out in LA where the USMNT get their World Cup underway in about 12 hours' time? What time do you kick off tonight? I don't even remember at this point.
I don't even know what time it is right now.
2 a.m., so just 11 hours time. There we go. Our time.
There you go.
For you, 6 p.m. local in Los Angeles. And the city is starting to buzz. It was beautiful to see the scenes there from Mexico and Korea last night, but the USMNT are in town, and we'll be reviewing that game, of course, in the show tomorrow. There'll be Max Scott alongside the great Master Tesfatian for the show tomorrow, because I've got to rest my voice for a day. A man who's not getting much opportunity to rest his voice or rest anything, however, because he is just on this whistle-stop tour of the United States, and I'm so glad he can join us again. The brilliant Jim Proudfoot joins us from your hometown, Master of Dallas, Texas. Jim, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Very good indeed. So, Master will know. Well, it might not mean as much to you. I am stood, and you can't see it from where I am. I'm near the Jewel Hotel, and I'm stood outside a 30-foot fiberglass eye, which is on a big field of AstroTurf, and it just looks from the bottom of the Santander building, which is away to my right-hand side, and it peers over, looking at everything in this great city. It is very, very hot. So it's, 8:30, 20 to 9 in the morning here, local time. It's already sultry. Don't get weather like this in Hampshire, you know. I'm not used to it.
That's why when you guys complain about the weather and the heat advisories here, I just laugh. Understandable, though. I get it.
Look, Jim, I have to ask, because I actually didn't realise till I was listening to you guys on Kickoff the other night just how much of a US sports fan you are. I thought, like, within the building, we'd all just gravitate to each other. And you were talking about the Tampa Bay Rays and everything else, so I absolutely loved that. And yet, I want to know how much Englishness, how much Britishness you guys brought to the bar last night while you were watching that opening game of the World Cup, and you were sat next to Stuart Pearce, who predicted on World Cup Daily there would only be one red card in this entire tournament. And as they racked up in that game last night, just how much stick were the Brits giving him?
Do you think he's going to get his leg pulled about that? Do you think it will be mentioned at any stage over the next 102 games that there have already been 3 times as many red cards in this World Cup as he said there would be in the entire thing? He's also gone for 493 goals, which seems just a little bit on the hot side. We're all sort of about 260, 270, but he stuck his neck out, so I think we're going to get a bit of mileage out of that. We watched the first game in a local bar that is predominantly Mexican run, and it was fantastic. It was a great atmosphere, as you would expect. It was an afternoon game here, so it wasn't the real vibrancy, plenty of people still at work, but a huge amount of interest and obviously a lot of delight at the way that Mexico played against really poor opposition in South Africa. The evening game I found more interesting. So obviously last night it was game 5 of the Stanley Cup. It wasn't a vintage game in what has been a great series so far. But the televisions in the bar, certainly I would say 60% of them, and I mean there are screens all around everywhere you look. I mean it's impossible not to be abreast of everything that is going on. And probably 60, 70% of them were showing the South Korea game last night against Czechia. So I found that really interesting. I think more people in there that were watching were gravitating actually to watching game 2 of the World Cup rather than watching game 5 of the Stanley Cup. And I was really, really surprised at that. Might just have been the clientele that where we were didn't have that many locals and had more visiting supporters. But I don't think that was the case. I think there is a genuine interest in this tournament that I must admit didn't think would really start to become prevalent until we were maybe 2 weeks in, apart from obviously Canada and the USMNT playing today.
There's 2 maybe contexts that I can add to this, Jim. One, in Dallas right now, we don't like hockey because the Stars keep choking. They choke more than the England national team does. And despite how great this generation of players have been, they have not been able to bring home the cup. So that is the last thing me, as a very casual bandwagon Stars fan, is trying to watch right now. Though Erling Haaland was at that Stanley Cup final match. And then the second part is, I'm glad you acknowledged that, because Dallas gets slept on very much so for how much it loves this sport. And obviously, it's a city in which I was born and raised in, and growing up playing with Africans, playing with Latinos. We would play oftentimes Africans versus Mexicans out in the government housing projects in which I lived in, and just beautiful memories growing up of being able to experience this game that has produced a lot of players through the FC Dallas Academy, 4 of them which is on the U.S. national team right now, and the Metroplex in itself, the entirety of the Dallas-Fort Worth area is truly enamored with this sport, and has been since I was a kid. So I'm glad you're getting this experience of seeing it from the Dallas lens instead of the New York and the Miami and LA lens that we always see. But I'm curious, how are you embracing my city? What are some of the things that you're doing to fully get on board with the Southern hospitality, to giddy up the E-Hall elements that only you can find in Dallas-Fort Worth?
Well, let's see. I mean, what have we talked about so far? Being in a bar to watch one game and then going to watch another game in another bar. I think that gives you a fair idea of the amount of research that we're putting in to fully
You're doing it right.
Understand exactly how the locals are taking it. I'm taking it for the team. You know what I'm saying? We've got to make sure that we are fully fulfilling our brief of getting down with the local guys and seeing how they're enjoying it. All the tourist stuff is being done over the next couple of days. So our first assignment here is the Netherlands taking on Japan, which is in 48 hours' time. I think the book depository tour and taking in everything about JFK's assassination is very high on the agenda. For Stuart, myself, and Adrian, we're all sort of history buffs, so looking forward to doing that. But listen, it's very different. I've never been to Texas before. It's a privilege to be here. And the hospitality has been everything that you, as a Dallas native, would expect it to be. It's been wonderful.
I want to see.
I'm glad you mentioned.
Sorry, go on, Master.
Real quick. I'm glad you mentioned the JFK Museum. That's a must. But listen, all we do in Dallas, we love to shop, eat, and drink. So you're a third of the way there. And as you talked about with all the screens that you see in the pubs, you got to enjoy that you can get a beautiful watching angle, a television watching angle anywhere you're at in the pub, unlike what I find, unfortunately, in Europe, where it's like one TV at most.
Oh, yeah, we're fine. Don't worry about that. Well, listen, I don't drink, but listen, I do eat. Which is blindingly obvious, and there's a little bit of shopping going on as well. So yeah, I reckon I'm 2/3 of the way there. I'm probably eating. I'm fulfilling on the eating what I'm not doing on the drinking.
Sensational. Look, you mentioned it there, your first game this weekend, Netherlands, Japan. I know we're a couple of days away, but how are you feeling about that game? It looks like a really tasty one on paper. And not only that, but you say it's your first time in Dallas. That stadium is, I mean, certainly our producer, Ollie Hunter, today, I would put it in my top 5 worldwide. He thinks it's his number 1. I think it's absolutely sensational, as long as the sun's hitting the right angle and you're not getting blinded, of course. But how excited are you to go and call a game in that stadium?
Oh, I can't wait. I'm a real nerd when it comes to going to stadia around the world, and it's one of the major privileges of this job to be able to do that and to travel. I can't wait to go. Really, really excited about it. It'll be some occasion. The stadium looks wonderful. I have got, in terms of the game, I'm really hot on Japan. I think that the Asian sides are going to have a good run at the start of this tournament. I fancy that South Korea will win Group A, which is Mexico's group. And that was underlined with the 2 games yesterday. I think that Japan will win that group that has the Netherlands in it. They're so well drilled. I just think they're coming into it in better form as well. And I've got to tell you, I love the Tampa Bay Rays. My knowledge of American sports is not great. I'm not going to pretend that it is. I like the Rays. I'm very interested in the Rays. Listen to their games. But my general all-round knowledge is not brilliant. But we are able to take in a couple of MLB games when we're over here, and so we're working on the 14th, which is Sunday. So Monday night, it's an office outing that I've organised to go and watch the Rangers play. So that'll be fantastic as well.
Listen, as someone that literally has seen 11 Rangers World Series matches and was with them for all 5 of their matches 2 years ago when they finally lifted and won the World Series, and was partying with the team in the team hotel in Arizona after that moment, I'm so happy you're seeing the Texas Rangers. I love that team. That is my boyhood club, obviously. So many memories inside that park. Obviously, it's a new park now, but you're going to have a blast. And if there's any connections, ways I can make, I know the PR staff, happy to make those connections for you.
Well, first seats on first base would be fantastic. Glad you sorted that out for me. And if you could stick Stuart in as a DH, that would be even better for us all.
Hey, you and me both. We could use some. We could use some hitting.
Yeah. Durham for the first pitch. That's what we need to see more than anything else. Get him out there working that arm. Jim, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, giving us a flavour of the action in Dallas. Master, have the best time tonight. It's going to be sensational. And tomorrow, have a great show with Max, enjoying what we both believe will be a USA win to launch off the series. You've been watching the S Word. Sponsored.
Come on, boys!
Trade What's Next. Give it some love.
Around here, we only use the F word. talkSPORT presents the S Word.